Hey guys, Ramsey here. Welcome to another video. Today we've got an early impression on a decant that was sent to me by a friend, a perfume fairy god person. You know who you are. It's from the house of Lubin, and it's called Itasca. Now, this fragrance was released in 2007 to 2010. I'm not exactly sure, but the House of Lubin is a house that is basically a house from the past that was revived, if you will. So they're one of those old-timey French houses that was brought back to life. And they're a house that I actually have a couple of their compositions. My first love is this. This is called Idole de Lubin. Now, this is the eau de toilette. Take a look at the bottle. This is the vintage bottle that's discontinued. Look at the detail. Look at the detail of the cap. Look at the detail of the bottle itself. This looks like a traditional shield, if you will. Everything about this is stunning. The beads on the bottle. I mean, they've put so much detail and time into this. I really appreciate that, especially for a this was when they first got revived. This fragrance came out in 2005, I believe. And this is the new Lubin bottle. This is one of their fragrances called Upper 10. You can see all of the detail was basically taken out of the bottle. There is no more detailing on the bottle. It's just completely smooth. Look at the difference. You can completely see the corporatization of the house. And I understand cost structures and this and that, but we talked about kind of the emptiness of perfume when we talked about our Bleu de Chanel early impression. And this bottle just leaves me very empty. Now, if you have never seen one of the original bottles before, you might look at this and go, wow, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's kind of a cool looking cap. It is, respectable heft to the bottle. It's not cheap or anything, but when you see the detail from the past, it's very hard to get accustomed to what the bottle's turned into now. Anyways, the bottle is not why we're here. The house is why we're here. And the fragrance is called Itasca. Now, one thing to keep in mind with this fragrance is I believe this fragrance actually went through a name change. I think it was initially called Vetiver de Lubin, and it ended up going through some sort of a reformulation due to IFRA regulations in 2018. And I think it ended up getting renamed Itasca. That's the research that I've done that has kind of led me to this conclusion. Now, the reason I'm doing these kind of short form interviews, number one, people in the community are very kind, and they've sent me lots of samples, stuff I never would have tested before or had a chance to kind of get my nose on. This is one such example. This is now the second time I've had a chance to wear it to bed. I have it here. So if you guys know my, routine, my ritual spraying style during the day, I'll usually spray my neck, the inside of my collarbone, and the tops of my hands. So at night when I test stuff, I'll test it on my wrists and inside of my elbows right here. So that's kind of my routine. So I have it right here, the last of the decant. I got one wear out of it before, so now this is the second time I've had to test it, which I don't always get that chance with these really short form videos. And let me read you the notes and we'll talk a little bit about the fragrance. So these short form videos, before I read you the notes, one thing I did want to say is that I am of the opinion now that I've smelled hundreds, if not thousands of fragrances, that you don't necessarily need to wear a fragrance 10, 20 times to give your impression on it. Sometimes even just once or twice. If you know your stuff, you can give your impression on it and speak intelligently about it. That's the point of these videos. Just a quick hit on a fragrance, initial impression, if you will, early impression, first impression, whatever you want to call it. And hopefully armed with some information on a fragrance. Like, I've never heard anyone talk about this one before. It's kind of a little bit of a hidden gem, if you will. Well, not a gem, and we'll talk about the fragrance. But so here's the notes. It's grapefruit, mandarin orange, neroli, juniper berry, clove, clary sage, nutmeg, tonka, red pine, cedar, frankincense, myrrh, and amber. So if you notice that note listing, there is something missing from a fragrance that's called Le Vetiver de Lubin initially, and that's vetiver. There's no vetiver note listed, but there's clearly a vetiver note at play. You would probably think this is like a pine, vetiver, nutmeg, clove fragrance with a little bit of freshness from the juniper and neroli and citruses at the top, and that's basically what you would get. Now, when I think of vetiver perfumes, there's basically two there's two ways that a vetiver fragrance can go in my mind. On this side of the coin, you have fragrances like this. This is Guerlain's Vetiver, the traditional, most classic vetiver fragrance that comes to my mind immediately. This is a discontinued version of the bottle. And even the new stuff is really good, though. But these older bottles, Rich Mitch, my buddy from across the pond, my fragrance BFF, he did a comparison between Guerlain vetiver fragrances throughout the years. I would go watch that if you've never watched that video. And he talks about how this particular bottle of Guerlain's vetiver is a little bit more fresh, more grassy-like. It's not as heavy on the tobacco and stuff like that. That adds more depth to some of the other versions of Guerlain vetiver. So if you like your vetiver fresh, if you don't like that deep, dark, rooty vetiver, Guerlain's vetiver would probably be my choice. You could also go with something like Roja's vetiver, Creed's original vetiver. That's a good fresh vetiver. That's one side of the vetiver coin. The other side of the vetiver coin would be something like this. This is Encre Noire. This is a dark, deep, rooty, almost inky vetiver. A little bit of smoke to it. This is how I like my vetiver. This is the reason why I refuse to buy Chanel's Sycamore. I would love to own Sycamore. In fact, I would love to own it in the discontinued Eau de Toilette, but I won't pay the prices that the secondary market is asking for. So I just wear Encre Noire. I love Encre Noire. I think this is one of the best $30 and under vetiver perfumes money can buy, period. It might be one of the best vetiver perfumes money can buy. Forget price. I mean, to be honest with you, when I wear Roja's $500 50 ml Parfum version of vetiver, Pour Homme, Parfum, whatever he calls it, I don't get as much pleasure out of that as I do Encre Noire. I mean, honestly, this is a genius composition. But it is very dark and rooty and a little bit smoky, resinous, almost inky quality. The name Encre Noire actually means black ink, and it looks like an old style ink bottle that, you know, they would dip their, what did they call those, quill pens in, you know, in the olden days. This is another one, the À l'Extrême Flanker. Fantastic. They've added some amber and some, you know, resinous notes. Oh, I love these two fragrances. They're two of my favorite vetivers, but that's kind of vetiver on one side of the coin, and this is vetiver on the other side. So this fragrance doesn't sit in either, is what's interesting about Itasca, or Le Vetiver de Lubin, whatever you want to call it. I think it's supposedly the same fragrance, just reformulated. This fragrance doesn't sit in either because it has this spicy clove, sweaty clary sage, and this nutmeg. And nutmeg as a note does something very amazing in my mind. It almost like puts a bow on a composition. So imagine you have your pine, cedar, frankincense, myrrh, amber, all the stuff I said, tonka, clary sage, and clove. And the nutmeg just kind of like puts it in a bag, wraps it up, ties it up, puts a bow on it. It just kind of keeps everything from shooting off and becoming like a befuddled mess to me. I love the note of nutmeg because it has that quality to me. And the nutmeg in Itasca definitely stands out. It will remind you of some vintage masculine fragrances, okay? If you are a fan of some of the old fragrances from decades gone past, Itasca might be an interesting sample, okay? And if you know fragrances, like, for example, the way that the spices in Itasca smell to me, they smell very similar, the clove and spicy geranium, which there's no geranium in Itasca, but it smells like there easily could be geranium in there. It smells like the way Jean-Claude Elena did the spices in Equipage Geranium. That spicy clove with the sandalwood here. Now, there's no vetiver in Equipage Geranium, but imagine you take that clove, the spices, and you added a vetiver note. This doesn't get very much talk. No one talks about it. I think it's still available for purchase even. I don't know pre-2008 bottles versus, 2008 and after bottles after the IFRA reformulation. I don't know if that made a huge difference or not. I don't even know what version this is, because this was just sent to me by a friend, and I can't tell you if it was earlier, before, whatever it is, but I can tell you that it's a good fragrance. It's not a great fragrance for my taste in vetiver, since I have so many vetiver fragrances right now. Vetiver is not my favorite note. I like it. I don't love it. I have another vetiver fragrance coming actually on the way that I actually like more than this. So an unboxing coming soon, hopefully in the next couple weeks on that one. So, I mean, for me, if you're maybe somewhere in the middle and you don't like your vetiver to be clean and grassy and fresh and easy to wear in the summer, but you also don't like it to be rooty and dark and inky, something like this may be worth a sample. If you like, masculine, spicy, woody. There's even these woody aspects because of the cedar down here in Itasca. There is this woodiness to it. Maybe if you took the, cedar out of something like Bois de Portugal, I don't know, and stuck it with some vetiver and mixed it in with the clove from, it feels like almost like there's bits and pieces of a bunch of different fragrances in Itasca. Like you took the clove from Equipage Geranium, you took the cedar from Bois de Portugal. The vetiver, I would say you probably took it from a cleaner vetiver source, maybe like Guerlain's vetiver. There's no tobacco in Itasca, okay? So if you're a fan of the tobacco note, just get Guerlain's vetiver would be my recommendation. This is one of the best vetivers money can buy in any formulation, even the new stuff. Oh, I gotta wear this again before the summer days die down. And, it's like you took that clove from Equipage Geranium, the vetiver from Guerlain's vetiver, and you took some resinous notes, maybe some frankincense and myrrh to amp up the base a little bit, the clary sage from different places, and you just kind of built this fragrance. And what's interesting is, if you look at the bottle for Le Vetiver de Lubin, not the one that says Itasca, but actually the bottle that says Le Vetiver de Lubin. If you can find that bottle picture on the internet, all of the letters are almost like stuck together in a weird way. Like it says lay at the very top corner, and then vetiver, the T's up here, and it's like all stuck together. That's what the fragrance feels like to me. It feels like they took all these different notes and just kind of stuck it together. And does it work? I think it does. I mean, it definitely, if I didn't have so many vetiver perfumes in my arsenal already, this would be a consideration for me. But then again, Lubin to me isn't a house I go crazy for. I go crazy for this discontinued EDT of Idole de Lubin. I love this stuff. This is so good. I love the boozy, even though there's this sugary aspect to this, it is so unbelievably easy for me to wear. I could just pile this on in any weather. And so the house to me just feels like something that, it feels like I've already conquered the house. Like there's not much else that really moves me. I bought this one, this Upper 10, because of Chris from Scentland, and his nose rarely leads me astray. And I do like this. I like it. I don't love it. This is a leather, suede-y leather with this orange-like feel to it. I actually wore a fragrance today that the two share similarities. So this was my scent of the day, Tom of Finland. And Idole de Lubin and Tom of Finland have some similarities, absolutely, for sure. So I'll do a full review on all of these fragrances at some point. But the decants, like this is going, that's it. There's absolutely nothing left in it. So I just wanted to, talk about it. I got every drop out when I sprayed it earlier today. So it's going in the trash. So since it's going in the trash, I just want to do a quick video and talk about it. But obviously I didn't have enough juice to wear it as my scent of the day, but I still thought it was worth mentioning. And, what I've done is I'm going to make playlists for each brand. So if you look up, Lubin, you'll find a playlist. If you look up Aldo, you'll find a playlist. If you look up Hermes, you'll find a playlist, so forth and so on. So you can easily kind of search by brand. You can also search by video type. So you'll be able to go in there and look for, like today I did a video on Ramsey's Ramblings on discontinued fragrances. That was the 6th episode. You can go in there and, watch all of those if you'd like in a row. So the playlist section is a great way to kind of explore the channel because I do have a lot of content on the channel. So if you have experience with the House of Lubin, or particularly Le Vetiver de Lubin, or now I think it's known as Itasca, do let me know your thoughts. Really appreciate all of the support as always. And see you again tomorrow with another video, guys. Cheers.